I'm willing to bet that a lot of your prayers are selfish. I say this because I hear a lot of prayers that are, well, selfish. And I say it because a lot of my prayers over the years have been selfish. Today I'll explain what I mean by selfish prayer. And then we'll see if we can get some advice from the Bible that will help us move forward praying unselfishly, along with a simple three-step process to get started. Let me see if I can explain what I mean by selfish prayers. Let's just think about what we hear people praying about frequently. Please heal me. Please heal someone I love. Please help me find a new job. Please keep my family safe while we're traveling. Please help the preacher do a good sermon this morning. Please help me be a good parent. Please bless our church. Please be with the youth minister. Please give me patience. That probably doesn't sound like selfish prayer to you. And quite honestly, until pretty recently, it didn't sound like selfish prayer to me either. And to be clear, I'm not saying that any of these things are, in and of themselves, wrong to pray for. That's not the point. The point is the volume, the amount, the percentage of our prayers that we are asking God to grant us the things we want. The things where we have already determined how we want things to work out. God, please answer my prayer in line with how I've already decided how I want things to go. When we pray this way, where is our submission to God? Where is our acknowledgement that He knows better than we do? Where's our willingness to put aside what we want for what God knows would be better for us? You may say that just because we don't express those thoughts in those exact words doesn't mean that that's not what we really mean. Of course we're okay with what God thinks is best. Then why don't we say it? Jesus said in Matthew 15 that whatever comes of the mouth proceeds from the heart. You see, the words that come out of the mouth really are where our heart is. We can pretend otherwise, but God knows better. So upon doing some serious Bible study on prayer, I had to come to deal with the reality that my prayers were pretty selfish. My prayers were jam-packed with requests for God to do things I wanted and the way I wanted them done. So what do we do about this? Let's turn to the Bible, the one word that has the world's best advice for whatever the topic is. In Matthew 6, Jesus instructs us how to pray. He says, in fact, pray then like this. And he says, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Notice a couple things with me. First, he acknowledges and praises God. Let's remember who's who in this relationship. And the very next thing he mentioned is that God's will be done. That's God's will being done here on earth just like it is in heaven. Well, how's that going to happen? That's where you and I come in. That's why we are here. As Solomon wrote, when all has been said and heard, the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep His commandments. That's why we're here. We're here to serve God, not for God to serve us. So why don't our prayers reflect that more often? Why are our prayers so very full of asking God to do for us the things we want Him to do, instead of frequently petitioning God to fill our hearts with His will, so we would do what He wants us to do? Well, perhaps it's because we've learned to pray selfishly. So how do we learn to pray unselfishly? As we close, I want to give you a very simple 3-step process to move toward unselfish prayers. First, we have to admit that we've slipped into a bad practice of selfish prayers. If we're not willing to admit that, the next 2 steps aren't going to be very effective. Second step is to make a list of unselfish things to pray for. God, fill me up with your will. God, help me to be willing to serve others, to share your love with them. God, help me be more generous with those in need. God, bring some trouble into my life if you need to keep me focused on the right things. And these are just a couple of examples. There's many, many more unselfish things we should be praying about. And the third step is pretty simple. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. Use your list. Bow your head and read your list to God if you have to. But get into the practice of praying unselfishly. Get into the practice of asking God for help for you to serve Him instead of Him serving you. Admit you need to change. Make your list. Practice. I'll also put a link at the end of the video on a series of lessons about prayer that me and some fellow Christians went through a couple years ago. We've still got a lot of progress to make, but we're working on it. I hope you'll work on it as well. Learn to pray unselfishly. You'll be blessed if you do. Thank you for listening. God bless you on your journey.